Hi, I'm Scot Butwell. Welcome to my channel. And I want to share with you what I've been learning recently about narrative writing from Mary Karr's The Art of Memoir. I always take the covers off my books. I have no idea where they end up, but they just tend to get ripped anyway. Mary Karr is the author of several best-selling memoirs. I like what she says to prospective memoir writers. She says we have to wheedle as much truth as we can out of our lives and into our books. In this video, I'm going to focus on what she calls sacred carnal writing. It's just another way of for show not tell writing. And as you know, show not tell is the bread and butter of narrative writing. And I teach high school students. For the past 15 years, I've done a unit on narrative writing. And the one thing I've noticed in teaching this unit is that as much as I teach and as much as I show my students how to show not tell, how to use details and description and action verbs, they always end up telling. About 90% of the writing is all telling, and it doesn't show in their writing. So I'm going to focus in this video on how do you really show in your writing. And one thing I've learned in my own writing is to show, not tell, you really have to slow down and you really have to focus on an event. So you're not just saying we went to the park, we went to the beach, we played basketball, but you have to really focus on what exactly happened to kind of capture those details, to use the action verbs to kind of bring that story to life and to show and not tell. Now, I like what Mary Karr says about showing and not telling. She says that carnality sits at the root of the show, not tell edict. And by sacred carnality, what she really means is that you're appealing to the writer's five senses. So they can smell, they can see, they can hear, they can taste, they can feel an experience that you went through. Or if you're writing a novel, they can see what your main character is going through by appealing to the five senses. So the question still is, how exactly in our writing do we show, not tell? A lot of high school teachers talk about this concept to death, but they don't really show how to show, not tell. And so they end up getting a lot of narrative essays where it's just a bunch of telling. Here's a few thoughts from Mary Karr, and then I'm going to add some of my own thoughts to what she says. And Mary Karr gives two metaphors on how she gets more sensory details in her writing. And these two metaphors I like to think about as I'm writing. The first one, she says she likes to focus in on an instance in time, and she likes to kind of like pick at that instance like a knot. So she keeps picking and picking and picking at that knot, and she's trying to kind of unravel this instance. And basically she wants to kind of go back in time and be able to see and experience as she did when it actually happened. So she can kind of recreate it and see it from her experience when it happened. And if she can do that, if she can kind of see it how she saw it back in the past, and she can recreate it for her reader so they can see it how she saw it. The second metaphor Mary Karr uses to unpack details into her writing is involving clowns. You might remember going to the circus when you're a younger kid, and maybe you remember these clowns that would come out of a miniature trunk. It'd be one clown, and then another clown, and then another clown, another clown, another clown. And so basically the metaphor that she's giving is similar to the knot, just like she's picking at the knot and picking and trying to unravel it and to create memories and details from that knot. The one clown is a detail, another clown is another detail. So clown after clown is basically her saying one detail leads to another detail, which leads to another detail. So the more she can focus on just one single detail, it's going to lead to a second and a third and a fourth detail. And then that past experience is going to come back to her mind, and she's going to be able to recreate it in her writing in a scene with sensory details of showing, not telling. Mary Karr says a single detail can evoke an entire scene. I've found this is true in my writing. If you just keep picking at that knot and you can find that one key detail, it really can evoke an entire scene. So she encourages writers to troll the world. That's an interesting way of putting it. She's basically saying that we want to be looking in the world for different objects that we can include in our writing. Maybe you're writing a novel, right? So it just doesn't all come out of your imagination, right? You got to get it from, you know, your experiences in the world. So you're looking in the world, kind of trolling and finding objects. Or if you're writing about your experiences, you're trying to bring back some of those experiences. So you're kind of trolling your memory, you know, to bring back some of those sensory details. I still feel like I haven't really hit, technically speaking, how you get the sensory details in your writing. So I'm going to add a few of my thoughts here. Is one way, obviously, is through accumulation of different details related to your scene. But another way that I found is really important is action verbs. Action verbs can really help a person to kind of see the actions in the story. And action verbs alone, I can't remember which writer it was, but one writer I read recently said that action verbs can really make your scene come alive. One of my favorite scenes from a book is from John Amici's Man in the Middle. If you haven't heard of John Amici, he is the first NBA player to come out as gay. So John Amici goes in the bar, and the first thing he does, he starts getting hammered. He's drinking one drink after another, one drink after another. The reason why he's doing this, he says he's not sure if he's going to the club as gay, straight, or asexual. He gets out on the dance floor, and someone winks at him. And then, I think it's the same person, squeezes his butt. And then somebody whispers in his ear, and they say, "I know who you are." And all these details start to show you some of the anxiety he's feeling. He's probably feeling that, oh my gosh, this cover that I've had for 10 years as an NBA player is going to be blown because this guy knows who I am, and the word's going to be spread that I'm in a gay bar. Then he goes in the bathroom. There's another man that comes up to him and leans up for a kiss. And John Amici, he's 6'10", he leans down for a kiss. And then the doorman comes in. The doorman says, "Ooh, I'm going to tell your sister." And so John Amici, he's in this situation where either he lets the doorman tell his sister that he's gay, or he's going to do it himself. So I like all the different details and the action verbs because they really show the struggle John Amici's going through of coming out as gay. He is kind of nervous to see how his sister, and then later in the story, how his friend is going to react. And all the details kind of show his struggle. Now your scene might not be as dramatic as that scene. You know, you might not be in a gay bar, but if you just slow down and focus and really try to pick at that knot, as Mary Karr says, and really try to go from knot to knot and really try to re-see an experience. You can bring any experience to become more alive and more vivid in your writing. Even a small event, you can kind of dramatize that smaller event as long as you can kind of go back, slow down, and really see it. What I've noticed is a lot of my best show not telling in my writing is in my revision process, where I'm going back, as I mentioned in a previous video, and I'm on revision and I'm rereading what I've written as if I'm a first-time reader. And I like what George Saunders says. It's like he has a little meter on his head, positive and negative. So he's rereading it, and if it's positive, great, he likes what he's written. But if it's negative, he kind of stops and he kind of thinks and listens to any suggestions that pop in his head. So most of my showing, not telling, when I'm recreating when I'm writing a scene, comes from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th, 15th, 20th revision, where little details are popping up that I didn't notice in my previous revision efforts to create that scene. I want to end with this final thought from Mary Karr, since most of what I've been saying comes from Mary Karr, with a little smidget of me. Mary Karr says, every memoir should brim over with physical experiences that once steamed in. The smell of the garlicky gumbo, your hand on an animal's fur, the ocean's phosphere lighting up bodies underneath an acid green. So do you want your writing to explode? The key thing is showing, not telling, or the words Mary Karr uses, sacred carnality. I want to encourage you guys to focus on showing, not telling. And hopefully you found this video helpful and useful. Again, the key for me is slowing down and just kind of thinking about what happened at an event. Not that I'm going to the park or went to the beach, but really thinking about blow by blow detail about what happened. I think when you do that, your writing becomes vivid, your writing becomes alive, it becomes something, a physical universe, a story that people want to enter into. Don't forget, like and subscribe, as my son likes to say. If you like and subscribe, then good karma will come to your writing.